Let's talk about the documentary evidence in terms of how much funds you need to show when you go in for your visa interview. According to the Foreign Affairs Manual, there's a section 402.5-5, and this is a guidelines that's given by the Department of State to the visa officer so they can adequately judge how a student is and what their financial capability is. What it clearly states is a student should be financially capable such that they should be able to defray all of their tuition and living expenses for their entire stay in the US. But that's a very large amount. So the manual also states that the student doesn't need all that in liquid cash. What they need is just the first year's tuition and living expenses available to them immediately. That first year amount is clearly mentioned on the I-20. So according to the manual, and the manual is a guideline to the visa officer that they only need the first year. However, what we've been seeing is the visa officers are asking the students around, what is your plans for your succeeding years? So the master's degrees, what's your plan for year 2? Or for bachelor's degrees, what's your plan for years 2 through 4? So you need to really be prepared for that, both verbally, so you can articulate to the visa officer, and also through supporting documents. So in your case, perhaps you need to take a loan. So in that case, make sure you have a loan sanction letter. Your savings that you're using for your first year in terms of the liquid cash, make sure that you have a bank statement for that savings account. If you have fixed deposits, make sure you have a bank statement about the amount on that fixed deposits. Ensure that any document that you're using is properly verifiable. What that means is, if you have a bank statement that has large deposits coming in the final month, you can expect a question around it. And it's a very easy one. Perhaps you were trying to collate all the different savings accounts into one particular savings account. So perhaps those large transactions coming in were just a natural reason in terms of your preparation of coming to the US. But just know that if there are large transactions, you may get a question around it. So we've talked about a loan sanction letter. We've talked about using a bank statement. We have also talked about fixed deposits. Now, you may also have immovable property or other assets. And the best way to actually show that is using a chartered accountant to have them create a report of all the finances that your parents have or your family has. If those assets are going to be applied towards your tuition and living expenses, then have them create a report and have the report clearly state what that financial net worth is. And that's really important. Now, in cases where your parents are planning on spending their annual salary that they're getting towards your tuition and living expenses during your subsequent years, then the best thing there is create a letter of sponsorship. Have your dad or your uncle or your family member create that letter of sponsorship and carry that with you. Ensure that letter of sponsorship is on stamped paper to ensure the validity of that. In addition to all of this, what you can carry is tax records of your parents, and also a work experience letter or the paycheck slips. And these are all really good documentary evidences. You may never have to use any of this. You may be very strong in verbally articulating this to the visa officer, and that's perfectly a great way to end your visa interview. But sometimes visa officers will ask you for that. Show me your loan sanction letter, show me your bank statement, or show me your total financial net worth. And that's why that chartered accountant report can be very, very handy for it. So in summary, at the very least, I would absolutely recommend carry your bank statement that highlights the dollars or the Indian currency that you have in your savings accounts, the fixed deposits. If you're taking a loan, which there's a lot of firms right now that provide loans, not just for the first year, but also for the second year and third year. So ensure you take a loan sanction letter, which will be very important. Collate all of your finances, have a chartered accountant create a report that you can use. If your parents or a family member is sponsoring you, take that sponsorship letter. That'll be very, very helpful. And in addition to all of this, if you have other assets or other forms of income coming in, have some documentation for that. For your parents, ensure that you take some kind of a work experience letter, a pay slip, or tax records to really prove that they've got the annual income, if that's the source that they're using to support you. So hopefully this is really clear, and we'll cover this again when it comes to the document sections that you'll have to take for your visa interview. Hi, my name is Patrick Carriel. To answer more questions like these, or to discuss your particular case, come find me on AmericanColleges.com. I've been in the higher education space for nearly half a decade, and during that time, I've worked with over a dozen universities on their admissions and recruitment side. I've counseled perhaps thousands of students in India on their educational pursuits, and I've also liaised with visa officers in US embassies and consulates. I'll walk you through every step of the way, and I'll ensure that you're successful in your educational pursuits.